Yes, webinar is now streaming live on Facebook.
Let's change the view. No, let's do this view. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the What's on Elephant Castle Facebook page. We were coming on 5 minutes late. I do apologize. We were waiting for our guest who's dialing in from Toronto. Something's going on technically. So me and Melissa are just going to start chatting because we're here. It's just gone 11. So Melissa, how are you?
Yes, hi, I am okay. I am doodling while we talk because I realize it's actually quite calming and it allows me to pay attention in a different way. So that's what I'm doing. I've taken to that the last couple of weeks.
Why? What's doodling do for you?
It lets my body release like floating around kind of nervousness and things. While at the same time keeping my mind focused on, it doesn't make any sense. It actually sounds completely contradictory, but it does help with a kind of residual nervousness or anxiety or feelings of unrest. Not that I'm particularly feeling that way, but it's helpful. I've noticed it's helpful, so I'm not going to question it.
So I also I've noted a book that you're reading about an inner artist.
Oh yeah.
Right. So and then is this kind of intertwined with kind of becoming a little bit more creative in your life? And is this kind of helping you find your inner artist? Doing
you know what? I didn't even think about that, but it's probably yeah, I'm on week 3 of this 12-week program that's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And I first did it like how long ago was I in university? Like 20 years ago? Maybe 17 years ago. And that was cool. And then somehow the last few months I've been it's been in my brain space and I got the book. And yeah, I think that's what's happened is I'm trying to just doodle and draw, and I've been writing every day. And like I was mentioning to you earlier, even being a little more courageous or changing things up. So the example is walking Mago, my dog. I had a lot of security knowing that every morning we would do the same route, that I know it would take me 58 minutes and I would be home and then I could do this and that. And as I've been doing this program, this work, as I've been playing with the child in me, I've realized that I don't want to do the same thing over and over. There's so much more. So today we went for a different walk and I bought myself a coffee and we went to this little park and we went down this road and I didn't have my phone and I just let myself explore rather than needing it to be specific and that was really, and I feel a little freer today. So yeah.
Is that like a lesson to learn about kind of the importance of having routine, but also breaking routine?
Right, I think so. It's so strange because you and I often talk about the importance of routine and this structure, a little bit of container, but the flexibility within that container is just as important, and following the call, for lack of a better word, within, where it's something. So this is what's happening when I think of the path I'm going to take in the morning. Let's say, okay, I'm going to walk up this street. I'm like, well, that I feel heavy thinking about it. I don't feel excited. I feel my body already hurt. I feel like dragging my feet. And then if I think about another possibility, the image popped in my mind of the coffee shop in the other way, in the other direction. I felt felt a bit more free. And that's what I kind of went with. So it is an interesting kind of theme, huh? Routine, structure, but also flexibility.
Yeah, I think that it's we need to practice stuff, our bodies, our brains, our spirits are designed to have certain practices and principles. But I think that the more that I do it, the more that I realize that, I get into a level of comfort, I get happy, my fears kind of fall away. And then all of a sudden, I keep doing that. And then it's almost like I'm being called to kind of change it up.
Yeah.
I suppose you would use the gym metaphor. If you keep doing, 3 sets, 10 reps of one exercise, within about 3 to 4 weeks, things are going to change. And then your muscles are going to say, hey, I want you to do either a lighter weight or a higher weight, lower reps, more reps, because we kind of get used to certain things. And I think that it's funny, kind of goes down to the idea of that we are designed to be challenged. You know, we are designed, you know, when we do get into kind of this level of comfort, and I think that you could look at it kind of on a global basis, especially in the Western world, we get into these ideals of the things that we need to obtain to have comfort. And once we've obtained them, we think we're comfortable, but yet we're not. You know, I know that when I was like 22, I was married, I had a mortgage, I had a little puppy dog, we had 2 cars, like we had all of these things, right?
Yeah. That sounds like my nightmare.
So you think, you know, but that's what I was taught was success. But inside of me, I was just like, what? I didn't feel balanced. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like any of it meant anything to me. And it wasn't until really I got into the place where I needed to be challenged for my own safety, you know, because my ideals and my routines got me into a place of unsafety for myself. Because again, I thought that that's what the world wanted from me. So I like this, that this goes on to the idea of, you know, you channeling your inner artist through these challenges in this book that you're reading, which is giving you specific kind of disciplines and practices to have some kind of awakening, right? And now, do you think that there's an artist from what you're reading? Do you think there's an artist in everybody?
100%. I think we're all by nature creative, right? I mean, we can get into very spiritual kind of chat, but I'm not sure if
and it's 11:11 too right now.
It's 11:11. I think like if we are of the idea that we come from something, whatever, it can be, we have been created regardless in this human form, right? Whatever your religious, spiritual practices tell you, your culture, whatever. We are a creation of something, even if it's, you might think nothing. We are a creation of something, even if it's nothing. So if we come from a creator, then it must mean on some level we create. I don't know, like I don't know. So I think we all have this ability to be creative, for lack of a better word, to create. And I think what happens is along the way we get blocked, right? And whether it's from like expressing something and having it dismissed, whether it's from fear of, you know, disappointing a parent, whether it's from needing to silence yourself because of a relationship with a partner. Like as we grow, the kind of artist, the creator in us kind of gets quieter and shyer and in the shadows. And so part of the work, I think, is to reintroduce them into your life and kind of pull back the pieces a bit. So yeah, I mean, we all express something in one way or another. And what is creativity or art other than a need to express? I don't know. I'm kind of making this up as we go, but that's what it feels like.
I'm going to go back to the pages in that book and I'm going to have to ask you to remember something, but there was like the 2 brains or something, like there's the creative brain and then there's like the stagnant one. I can't remember the terms that she used in those first chapters.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember.
I wish I had the book with me, but I do like it because it's like this kind of unlearning certain things and then unraveling and.
Well, it's kind of like whatever course you decide to take in your life, right? It's always going to be hard. And I don't mean that to sound like heavy or pessimistic, but kind of life is a bit hard. So whether you honor the creative part in you, the love part of you, the free part of you, or you honor the fear part of you, the pain part, like either way you have a choice. Either choice is going to be hard. But one choice is a little less hard because it's done in a like bubble or with the need to, or the courage to know that there's a little bit peace somewhere in the kind of roughness. You know what I mean? The other one is hard and you get stuck. So either way, things are hard. But if you can choose the freedom over the fear part, then that changes the game. And I think we talk about this all. Love and fear are the same kind of sides or the different sides of the same coin. But it's really like, do you choose freedom for yourself to be yourself and explore yourself and express yourself, or do you choose fear? Am I making sense?
Yeah. And sometimes we don't know what those choices are. Like we think we're
Yeah.
choosing freedom and it's actually fear. Or so, and I think this is about practice, and this is about having certain things that we can practice for a little while that teaches us certain things about how our body reacts to either the fear side of stuff or the love side of stuff. So today we were meant to talk to my buddy in Toronto, Shane, everybody, just so you know. But I was texting with him 10 minutes before we went live, and I know there was some kind of technical issues, but he was receiving my texts and saying that he'd be on in a minute. So, and now he's not receiving text. So I imagine something's happened technically. So we do apologize. Shane is an amazing man who I was really looking forward to chatting with you, Mel. Because I've known him now for like 5.5 years. We met in Toronto under pretty challenging circumstances for both of us. So we've seen each other kind of grow a lot through through our challenging times. And because it's Movember, I wanted to talk to Shane specifically because he is a cancer survivor, and he, I hope that he either comes on, because I know that you're actually you're expecting somebody to come to your place right now to pick something up that's been being taken away from you, an old mattress. And,
yeah, that makes it sound so dramatic, Nick. It's just a mattress that's been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Have space in the hall. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so, and I'm just conscious that if maybe your doorbell rings, we might have to end this live and start it again, but at another time. But so I do apologize to everybody. We will get Shane on eventually, I hope. And if Mel has to run, then you'll just have me sitting here, and I'll probably just end the live. But what with Shane is that he's a cancer survivor of one of the most. It's a rare and deadly, like a very low survival rate of this type of testicular cancer. And I know Shane is a fellow, and he is a very, very strong guy who's again, he's come from a pretty challenging background. And I know his journey, part of it, I know because I was there visiting him in hospital. And this is a guy who I know could kind of sense something was wrong down there, but was so like, oh, I'll be okay. That it got worse and worse and worse. And being as it is Movember, it is a time where, guys specifically, Mel, I think you can kind of say this, like with regards to with women, they're encouraged regularly to take checks of themselves when they're in the shower and to look for lumps, whereas men, like, we're not taught that. And even if we do find something, we're not. It's not. It's, oh, you're too young. You're too young to have something. And it was actually because of Shane's journey that I think when I came back here, I know that I noticed what something wasn't right down there. And because his journey taught me something, I then made sure that I went to the hospital. My doctor, who set up an ultrasound at the hospital where I went to, and it was I gotta say, it was an okay experience. The NHS, they're so good at their jobs that for me, all the discomfort of having that part of my body looked at was just, it was easy. And I think that, again, because it's something that we should be doing all the time, but specifically any guys out there that are listening to this, like, I'm 49 years old. This was 2 years ago. I found something that didn't feel right. I went to my doctor. He had a look. He set me up for an ultrasound, and it ended up just being, a cyst that men do get at certain times, and then they'll check on it again in a year. And easy. It was all really good. Like I say, the nurses and the doctors were just amazing. So I think just in this particular month, have a look, in the bath, in the shower, and if something doesn't feel right, don't be afraid to ask your GP for, and I know it's all over the phone right now, but don't be afraid to ask, because people will come and you will be able to have an ultrasound set up eventually and have it looked after. So I think this was what I really.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, this is the particular thing that I wanted to talk to Shane about. Was what the feelings of of what makes us not want to go to the doctor.
Yeah, we're just gonna
You know,
ask you that. Like, what do you think? I mean, I get it, but what do you think the fear around knowing is, or like to even check or to make that call to say something's not, I feel like something's wrong. There, it is fear of, and which is like rightly so. So what do you think on some sort of levels are people like, what were you afraid of? What were you resistant to?
embarrassment.
Around what?
So I was embarrassed about, you know, at what would happen if something was seen as being, you know, wrong with me. So, you know, it's an around the fact that, you know, especially when you grow up as an athlete and you're meant to be looking after your body and, you know, all of the preconceived notions of being healthy, even though I, you know, for 15 years I was not healthy at all. But so it's kind of like this embarrassment of like, oh, Nick was a strong guy and then he's struck down by some illness and then you've perceived as being weak, you know. So it's not even like the fear of getting it, it's almost the perception of what people are going to think of me. And so that's really, and the easiest way to avoid that is don't go to the doctor.
Right.
You know, so I know a lot of men in my life, my father included, you know, for times, you know, when he was younger, just, you know, I'm not going to the doctor, not going to the doctor, not going to the doctor. And also it, like for me too, almost a feeling of like I'm hassling somebody, you know, like I don't want to waste somebody's time for something that might not be
A doctor?
that
You don't want to
serious.
waste a doctor's time?
How insane is that?
That's
You
pretty,
know,
that's some deeply intricate wiring you have going.
try to unwire it for me. What does it mean?
Oh, darling, I've been trying for 2 years. It's, I'm joking. Like, think,
Yeah, so it is like an embarrassment,
yeah.
like embarrassment of what happened would what would happen if something was wrong with me. It's, and again, it's not even the fear of like, oh, if you're diagnosed with it, because I know that there are so many survivors. But it would just be like, oh, I'm weak because I've got it. And I think that these are things when men can talk to one another and say, dude, it's not a sign of weakness if something is wrong with you, you
So do
know.
you think like when we I mean we do a lot of work with men and you know the idea of what it means to be a man and what it needs to look like and how you need to act and how you need to provide and all these things. There is this kind of narrative that a man's worth is intrinsically tied to his physicality.
Physical, yeah.
Yeah. And so it seems like there's this piece that if your physical body betrays you, which in my line of thinking, it's not a betrayal, it's actually a revealing of something, but that's a whole other conversation. If you are betrayed by your body, let's say, and then you are weak, you were not strong enough to take it through, and then you're less of a man. Does that feel like there's truth there?
100%. 100%. I am less of a man if my body fails me. And that is, I don't know where that was taught. I think it was because even like growing up, I would pretend I was sick to get off of school. So
Okay.
it wouldn't have been that. It wouldn't have been. So I would use being like pretending to have a cold or the flu to avoid a test, or just because I didn't feel like going into school. So it wasn't something that was taught to me then. I'm just trying to think about what my father would have instilled in me about being sick and about taking sick days and stuff. And I don't think that's where it comes from. I think it more comes from maybe university age. You know, almost when you're trying to attract a partner, you're trying to be perceived as someone who'd be a good I was going to say a sperm donor, but a good father.
Well, biologically, there's like truth in that, right?
Yeah, so I think maybe there's some kind of like a what would you call it? Like a survival type feeling, you know, and maybe for me it's kind of more like because I don't have children, you know, and that's something that's been something that I've been thinking about. You know, I'm getting broody, but you know, so maybe it's like some kind of like biological lizard brain procreation type stuff that comes out.
I mean, it does make sense if you've attached your kind of worth to your physical prowess, and then that kind of is weakened or it's sick, it becomes sick, then you question how you are able to provide for your partner and for your future with your partner and like, or your family. It does make a lot of sense. And I know you've shared it, but if that's where you're at emotionally, kind of like, what is my future going to look like? Which is something I would say as your one of your closest people is like, you didn't really even envision how your life could have turned. If I last year when we were chatting, you wouldn't even be in this place, right? And now you're seeing your life in such a different, like with so many possibilities, so many different realities, all based on your own like love or worth or kindness to yourself. That's like scary. And so then that does become a lot more of like, my body better not fail me because now this is different. This is a different, like I need this more. And usually on one level, that's when it actually ends up kind of tricking you into taking time or causing a sickness, a disease, because it's like, oh, is that what you're thinking? Okay, I'll show you that you're actually, we can be friends in this. We can be companions. Anyway, I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's what I kind of think is like we are allies with our body. We're not disconnected from it. It does teach us so much. It does tell us so much. We're just not really sure how to listen to it in ways that are from a place of kindness.
And it's something that is so practical and pragmatic is that and obvious is that while we're here, this body is prone to an illness or a disease or getting hit by a bus. Like we're quite fragile, but we're also really strong, but like, we're not gonna win a war against a bus that we accidentally step in front of. So while we're kind of here on this planet, constrained by the laws of gravity and the laws of entropy, and I can sit there and logically say, this body is going to grow older, it's going to fail in certain ways, and I'm cool with that. I really am cool with that. I'm like, I can see it logically. And when I work with men, I can say, there are like sometimes, like Alex Trebek, pancreatic cancer. I know he was 80, but that stuff happens to us, as human beings on this planet. A parasite, a cancer, a virus can hit this body. And I think pragmatically and logically, it makes sense. But and we have all of these systems set up to look after the body, but yet our egos, our separation is going to keep us away from the doctor because of what someone might think of me. It's this whole thing, Mel, just about perceptions, right?
Yeah.
And how we kind of go through this life and just try to alter these glasses every once in a while and try to see things through a different lens.
It's so interesting because when you were talking, the word that I kept like getting was this idea of shame. Like we're ashamed or we carry shame with something that's so natural, that's so all of us do, is like our bodies change, our organs function differently, we need different ways to take care of ourselves, but yet we like walk around with this kind of cloud over us saying how you failed on some level, which is like nonsense, but it's also really real. And I'm not even trying to do this on purpose, but that's actually what the week of or the month of this November workshops are, right? Is like the way shame plays in our life, judgment, all these kind like guilt, like they're all companions for each other. But when you think about it, it's like you getting sick potentially. Okay, let me talk about it from my perspective, right? So when I was 21, like I woke up paralyzed. Okay, well that's shit. Like that's a thing. And over the days it like got worse and worse and it spread and it spread. And like I was definitely in a state of what the hell. And my best friend at the time, her first instinct was like, don't tell anybody. It's like, don't tell anybody. Like I can't walk, I can't talk. Like, because we were living in a different city. So she's like, don't tell your mom. Okay, that was the first instinct. Cover up, hide it. Pretend it's not as bad as it is. Like it'll be okay. But the whole thing, the beauty of it and the irony of it is that the reason why my body shut down on me is because I spent my whole life saying, don't tell anybody, hide it, it'll go away. And then what happened is that it became the thing I was doing without, I don't know how to say that in a way that makes more sense, right? So what I was actively afraid of, which was being seen and all these things, and like expressing my pain or sitting with my grief, and like not being repressed anymore, is like my body had to do what it had to do in order for me to flip the narrative, to flip the idea, to flip my relationship with myself. So I became the thing I was most afraid of, which is like I spent my life being stuck. So I became paralyzed, is what I'm trying to say. And like that's what happened. And through that, I was like, well, now I got to start some movement, right? Energetically, spiritually, emotionally, physically. So, this is a phone call. 1 second.
Okay, you take it. Mel is going to take the phone call, and I'm going to go on to something that I wanted to say about what she was saying with this shame aspect of, is that when I was younger, you know, if something happened to me physically, I would be told, "Don't tell dad," you know, don't say anything to your teacher. And that was built around my fear. This is so weird talking to you guys by myself, but my fear of getting into trouble.
I'm back.
Okay, is that your mattress king collecting?
Yeah, they're coming in 30 minutes, so we're good.
Oh, okay, so we're good. I was just saying what you were, you know, this whole thing about their fear of not telling anybody. And when I was younger, if I hurt myself, you know, I was don't tell dad.
Right.
Or don't tell the teacher, you know, and I was really good at it. I mean, I remember cracking my head open in the playground at school and like blood pouring down my face, and sneaking into the basement of the school to try to clean it up because I was so scared of what would happen if I, you know, where does that come from, you know? And even playing, you know, ice hockey professionally, and you know, getting cut in the face and trying to brush it away. So I didn't, because I didn't want the other team to know that I was hurt, or I didn't want to be a pain. I didn't want to lose a shift, you know, all these things of, hey, you know, you're cut open and you're bleeding, and you still feel scared or shame around letting somebody don't know. And I want to know where that comes from.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, it's a real thing of like, how, I guess it's like, is it a learned behavior, or is it something innate in us where it's like something, pain has happened, hide it, right? I feel like it's learned. I think it has a lot to do with the environment around us, our guardians, our caretakers, and how we learn how to express what's happening inside of us. I know for me, any kind of grief or pain or unease or anger was always, you don't talk about it. You deal with it on your own, away from people, right? Like that was just what I learned how to do. And then when I tried to express, it was kind of like dismissed, or like the person wasn't able to receive it in a way, or know how to, you know, kind of care for it. So, I mean, we started the conversation talking about the artist in us that can be blocked. Like that's what I think my experience was, because I was trying to express my grief or my pain in ways through my writing, through my drawing, and it wasn't cared for or given, like, or acknowledged or recognized from the people I needed it to be. Then I was like, well, don't bother. So I think it is part of it. It's a learned kind of thing where, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Let's shut it down.
I've got another theory to bring at you here too, is that people can be in so much pain sometimes, and they could feel so isolated and alone and needing some attention, that sometimes they will fabricate or embellish the fact that they are hurt. And so they might say, oh, I've hurt my wrist, looking, and their wrist is okay, you know, they've given it a good twist, but they're looking for some love, they're looking for some sympathy. You know, so they'll use, so when you see somebody doing that, your immediate reaction is to reject them, because you think, oh, they're looking for attention. So it would be like, oh, I'm not going to give them what they want. And which I think is very destructive and unhelpful.
Yeah,
But
like
that
why
was
would
something,
if somebody wants attention, why wouldn't you give them attention? Even if it
because I
comes,
suppose,
yeah, go on, sorry.
yeah, it's because I don't know, Mel, and it's just something through personal experience that I've seen with people is like, if you're attention seeking through by faking it. And again, so you're kind of taught, oh, don't ever show any kind of injury because it'll look like you're looking for attention. So again, these are behavior, again, I keep saying again, these are behaviors that have some kind of root in a fear, in a pain, in a trauma, and they
Yeah.
manifest themselves in attention seeking. So I'm going to use some kind of physical injury, and I'm going to say it's there when it isn't.
But if somebody is seeking attention, it's because there is a pain inside of them or a dis-ease inside of them that is finding whatever avenue and ways they can to be acknowledged. Like, look at me, somebody, please look at me, acknowledge me. And it's a little bit messed up to, I mean, I get it, but it's a little bit messed up that people are like, well, by me like turning to you and showing you kindness would be, playing into your bullshit, for lack of a better word. But that's actually a judgment too, right? That's like this very moral code we're coming with, like, I know more than you. I know what you're trying to express is based on, we don't know. It could be, but even if it is because it's real. Because under that, there's a realness that needs to be like tended to. So it is kind of messed up where it's like there is, with deeply embedded with all of this, there's either our own self-judgment or our superiority around thinking we have the right to judge, to know where somebody else, why somebody else is doing the things they're doing.
I think I was trying to find a root that I could say what is that fear, and it came to me as you're saying, is like this fear of abandonment.
Yeah.
And I think that this can kind of go back to some kind of tribalist, core instinct of evolution, of like getting out, being rejected outside of the pack, So either because you're, when the wildebeest start getting older and not so fast, they kind of end up hanging outside of the pack, so that they get picked off, right, by the wolves. But the young, they get surrounded by the pack, and it's this kind of thing, I suppose, this fear of like, I'm gonna be abandoned by the pack.
Well, it's kind of like when we were talking before about, where we learn to hide our things, and if we learn it from the environment and from what we see. The idea is that we go back to this place of like community, and not tribalism, but tribe living, where it's like the individual is part of the collective. Like, you have your own role, your own abilities, your own gifts, your uniqueness, but also you're all in it. Like, there's no separation. If which, I mean, we're called retribe, and that's not, again, it feels like this is like a marketing thing, but really this is just happening.
No. Yeah.
But the idea is, if we were able to, like, have our role from the beginning recognized, and all the ups and downs and darkness and light that come with that, and all the like confusion and joy and grief and happiness that come with it, then there is no need to proclaim, look at me, because we're all already looking, right? Without any judgment, with just an acceptance. Oh yeah, that's Mel. Yeah, she's the witch of the group, and she's the one who talks to the trees, and like, and her dog, like, we know her, and sometimes she cries for no reason, but we just let her be. And right, or that's Nick, and he's the one who stands on guard and doesn't drink the alcohol, but he did it, like, and that's just it. You just accept, like, cool, okay, without this need, like, like, I'm crying, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like, what am I trying to say?
I get it. I think that what I'm going to say is that if anybody hears this that is feeling like they're outside of a pack and they're scared, is to get in touch with us, and to know that nobody out there is alone. You might feel alone, you might feel isolated, you might feel weak, but there is a place. We're creating a place, with Elephant and Castle, with this space here, where people can come to and say, hey, do you know what, I identify with Mel the witch, or with Nick, the guy who doesn't drink alcohol, or somebody, a guest that we've had on, to say that, you know, because every guest that we've had on has had some challenge in their life. They've come through it. And this is the hope that this can give people, is that wherever you are right now, you know, you're there. And if you need to talk to us, then we are available for people to come and talk to. So that we can build community, we can build connection. We're not alone.
I think it's like, also we can start this conversation where pain can be a teacher for us, and not the like, not a failing of ours, but it can be a teacher. I think this is like, obviously it's the work I do and that I love doing, but also do for myself, is like, pain is not in opposition to our inherent right to exist with love. Pain can actually is, in my view, a teacher. It is revealing the parts of ourselves that need tended to, that need care toward, right? I mean, you know, I've been sick for 2 months with this thing, and it's like, yes, annoying, but it's also on this level of like needing to release and purge the old versions of me, the fear that's coming in my new kind of being and life. And it sucks and it's hard and it's scary, but it's also like joyous and freeing and like exciting. And it is a teacher. So all these things in our lives, however shit they are, art can be teachers. It can all be medicine. I mean, up to a certain point. I'm saying things very blatantly right now, but that's the truth of it. There are things can be medicine, even if we think it's poison. So that's all I want to say about that, is we don't actually have to do this stuff alone. And the things that we resist are actually where the truth might live about us. Right?
Yeah, I love that, because it gives people me comfort to knowing that if I am alone in my flat and I'm watching this and I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling uncertain, then you are where you're meant to be, because those fears and uncertainty are trying to teach you something. And if you want to learn more about that, then please do get in touch with us, and we can talk about, you know, what those things might be trying to teach you, and how we can kind of help each other through it. Because I know through those uncertain times are nice times of balance and joyousness and happiness, only to be met another day with more uncertainty and more fear. But you know, once we go through a set of it, you know, because it kind of, for me, it comes in sets and cycles. Once I go through it, I know, and I do certain practices, and I listen to you, or I listen to my sponsor, or I listen to other people around me who are my guides, and I do certain things that they suggest that I do. All of a sudden, the uncertainty and the fear become, you know, relief and happiness and joyousness, and a kind of a plateau, a balance. So then I know that the next time I'm there, I know that I have tools.
Wait, but where in all of that listening are you listening to yourself?
I suppose when I'm by myself, and those, like, only because I've got experience in being able to try to listen to of what these fears and uncertainties are trying to teach me, you know. So I do that a lot. I do that every day. I'll spend time just trying to listen to my body, but only through practice, right? 2 years ago or a year ago, even, I wasn't doing this, you know. But again, it's only through listening to you and doing the stuff, doing the work, that I can. I always say it, but I collect evidence to know that this stuff works.
Yeah.
So that's 45 minutes, Mel. I do apologize again for Shane not being able to get here. I can only, you know, like I said, we were texting 10 minutes before we were about to go live, and he was just like, oh, just trying to find a quiet spot. And then I've tried to ring him. So a technical issue has gone on, and I'll try to get on and try to get him back again. Yeah. And everybody at the What's on an Elephant Castle Facebook page, have a wonderful day. Please, this is a really good time. This is a really good talk to kind of maybe give somebody a little bit of encouragement to reach out to us. So if you're here at the end of this, just reach out to us. I'm going to put I'll put something up. I'm going to retitle this just as a talk that kind of turned out to be a different kind of talk. And please get in touch, and we can go from there. And then we've got our workshop on Thursday, which again is about, you know, the shame. Well, you could say what it's
Blame
about.
game.
What's that?
I said it's the blame game.
The blame game. So thanks, Mel. I
Yeah,
hope
lots of love, everyone.
lots of love, everybody at the What's On in Love with Kelso Facebook page. Mwah. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.